One recurring complaint is the propensity of parties to impose or switch candidates even after primaries have been concluded and candidates fronted.
The Electoral Act also had corrected that once a candidate is nominated, that he can no longer be substituted except at death. So that took care of that. So what they now do, mind you, before now, it was only courts, the candidates, you would go to court to determine the winner. Courts were used to determine the actual winner of election at the tribunal. But now we have a new dangerous trend where now it is the court that is determining candidates.
That is not acceptable. It must be moved.
The Ondo State governorship election will go down in the history of the state and the country as one of the most controversial elections owing to the confusion and considerable uncertainty over who should fly the flag of the three main political parties in the poll: the People's Democratic Party, PDP, All Progressives Congress, APC, and Alliance for Democracy, AD. While the candidate of AD, Olushola Oke, was able to resolve and settle out of court the dispute that arose from his emergence with aggrieved members of his party, this was not the case with the PDP candidate, Eyitayo Jegede, and that of the APC, Rotimi Akeredolu. Though the case between Dr. Segun Abraham, who lost the primary elections to Mr. Akeredolu, is still unresolved, the APC candidate, however, had the backing of his party, unlike the PDP candidate, whose party remained divided going into the election. The legal battle between Jegede, who belongs to the Senator Ahmed Makarfi faction, and businessman Barrister Jimoh Ibrahim, who belongs to the Ali Modusheri faction, has now shifted to the Supreme Court, and the court is expected to sit over 6 appeals filed on the matter. This PDP leadership crisis, which snowballed into the Ondo State PDP governorship tussle, started over a year ago, and it has put enormous pressure on the judiciary. One of the consequences of which is the conflicting judgments being churned out by judges on the same level in the judicial hierarchy. Within a period of 3 months, between the 12th of May and the 17th of August, the electoral umpire, INEC, received 11 different rulings and judgments, all from the courts of coordinate jurisdictions in Abuja, Lagos, and Port Harcourt. There are many other injunctions and ex parte orders obtained by the warring faction across the country. The two warring camps presented different names to INEC as flag bearers of the party for the Ondo polls. While the Makarfi primaries, monitored by INEC, sought the emergence of former Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Eyitayo Jegede, SAN, the Sheriff camp, whose primaries was initially stopped by an Akure High Court, produced Jimoh Ibrahim as its candidate. The crisis became worse when INEC later released a list of 28 candidates for the election. Ibrahim was not recognized, while Jegede made the list as PDP candidate. In a swift reaction to the development, some party members loyal to Sheriff kicked against the choice of Jegede as the party's candidate as recognized by INEC, saying INEC was biased. Subsequently, the factional chairman and secretary of the party in the state, B. Boroye, and one Ademola Genti, approached the Abuja division of the Federal High Court. In a judgment delivered on June the 29th, Justice Okon Abang ordered INEC to only accept the name of the candidate sent by the Boroye and Genti-led executive committee as the actual candidate of the party for future elections. He also ordered INEC to reject and jettison any other nomination forms submitted to it by other persons and indicated that no other person, apart from Barrister Jimoh Ibrahim, is the candidate of the party for the Ondo governorship election. After this order, and in order to stop INEC from naming Ibrahim as the PDP candidate, 2 curious ex parte orders were issued by different judges from the Ondo State High Court, restraining INEC from replacing the name of Jegede with that of Ibrahim. Faced with so many conflicting orders, INEC decided to obey Justice Abang's order. This development caused Mr. Jegede to approach the Court of Appeal to settle the matter. He contended that the ruling does not in any way affect the matter of the PDP candidacy in the Ondo State governorship election, because the issue of Ondo State governorship primaries was not the matter before Justice Abang. The appeal court, in a judgment on Wednesday, November the 24th, agreed with Jegede, and in a lead judgment read by Justice Ibrahim Saulawa, he confirmed that the lower court erred when it replaced Eyitayo Jegede with Jimoh Ibrahim. The court also nullified the primary election that produced Mr. Jimoh Ibrahim, describing it as an illegal contraption. INEC has since obeyed the appeal court by replacing Ibrahim's name with that of Jegede, but the crisis is far from over. The Supreme Court would still have to rule one way or the other on the very contentious issue of who is the authentic candidate of the former ruling party. An impressive turnout of voters in the Ondo governorship election as the citizens make their choice through the ballot. Looking back on the election, the governor-elect and first runner-up give their separate assessments of the contest and the conduct of the election by INEC.
It is just a case of showing that we cannot limit God. I want to believe that it's God's given victory to the people of Ondo State. What was beyond my imagination is the magnitude. I mean, talk about the number of votes we scored vis-a-vis what the two other contestants scored. I never believed that the margin would be that wide.
It wasn't fair because a day to election, I was not given the voters register. It wasn't fair because a day to election, I was not allowed to submit my party agents list for myself. It wasn't fair because a day to election, my name was not hoisted on the website of INEC as a candidate.
The PDP has rejected the outcome of the governorship election in Ondo State, a position their candidate not only identifies with, but gives reasons for the decision. Experts' suggestions for improvement in the voting atmosphere suggest less human involvement in sensitive areas.
We already have the manual process. All we need to do now is to introduce technology, marry it with technology. And so once you have that, it's just like the ATM machines. You know, they are installed everywhere and so activated immediately. And so the bank, you can have an ATM machine here without even having a bank. And yet you go there, you withdraw. The internet facilities are working. And so if we also empower INEC to do that. You see the American voting system. You walk to the electoral booth, the machines are there, you cast your ballot and you walk away. And so you really don't need to have mobile police because somebody is going to snatch the box. Just the same way you don't have mobile police, or guarding ATM machines.
But we need an enabling law because INEC itself is a creation of the law. We need an enabling law to back that particular exercise, that is electronic voting. If tomorrow the National Assembly will move in the right direction and give assent to the bill on electoral voting, you can be sure that INEC will go ahead, procure the electoral voting machines, and then be able to conduct elections electronically. That will save a lot of time. That will also reduce the margin of error, and also will remove to a large extent the mutual distrust.
Beyond the need to employ more electronic means for voting to make the process even freer, fairer, and more credible than it already is, political watchers say the urge by candidates to offer bribes for votes should be stifled by good governance, which will speak louder than inducements to the electorate. They also point out that the electorate should realize that their vote can retain a good prospect or expel a corrupt one. It's a wrap on this episode of Big Story. Thanks for watching. I am Mary Alale Yusuf.